All right. Well, it's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Bobinski to the program. Thank you, sir, for joining us. These are great videos that you put out. It's really great to be able to share them in small bites like this. I first have to say thank you so much for not only being someone who's focuses on Idaho news, but also reaches across the nation and is covered. I mean, you're an author. There's so many great things that you have provided to the folks who care about keeping the Republic. And your website, keeptherepublic.us, is a vital place for people to go, and we'll make sure people get there. We have your info scrolling at the bottom here. Sir, welcome to the program. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you so much for having me.
Excellent. So I wanted to learn more about True Idaho News, because when you and I spoke offline, you had mentioned that you wanted to bring that back a little bit further or a little bit more, add some more gusto and reviving that channel again. But I also want to get your overall perspective on the state of the media in Idaho, because one of the reasons why we started broadcasting this year was to cut through the noise and to really be able to highlight and amplify the messages that so many great liberty legislators can't seem to get through with the regular mainstream press in Idaho. And you've seen this across the nation. We've all seen that, but here in Idaho specifically, what have you noticed, and what compelled you to get into the same field?
Well, it's kind of funny you ask. The reason that True Idaho News is called True Idaho News is I was watching some clip of who's the socialist on KTVB. I forget his name.
Oh, Brian Holmes?
Yeah. I see, you knew exactly who I was talking about. He was reporting some lying through his teeth and gaslighting and deceiving. And I said to my wife, I said, we need some True Idaho News. It's like, bing, that went off. And it's like, okay, need to do that. Because I remember when Priscilla Giddings was being railroaded and they made up all sorts of lies about her. And so I sat down with her for I don't know, an hour-long interview, maybe an hour and a half. And we broke that, we put that online and let people know. And that kind of helped propel it. But this was what we're talking about. We have a socialistic mainstream, quote unquote, media, and all these TV stations out there. I can't think of one anymore in Idaho that promotes a conservative, liberty-minded agenda. Every one of them touts a left-leaning agenda. So shows like yours, platforms like the Readout News and the Gem State Patriot, and you have the True Idaho News, and you've got there's so many in the state, independent little places. And I think this is the way to do it, because I was talking with my nephew the other day. He's in his 30s, and both him and his girlfriend were saying they never listen to the radio anymore. They don't watch TV anymore. They get all of their news from podcasts. And so I think this is the way to reach young kids, is forget the mainstream media. We argue about them. We need these little 60-second spots. We need long form. We need everything, because not everybody gets their stuff from TV and radio anymore.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. I mean, the reach that we have by not having to deal with not only the rules of like the FCC and that sort of thing, but the idea of just, getting past the gatekeepers and getting your voice on traditional radio or television. Can
I jump in on that? Because you just mentioned the FCC. So for nearly 3 years here in the Treasure Valley, I have done a terrestrial radio show called Keep the Republic. It's on Saturday mornings. And the station manager called me up last week and said, guess what? The FCC has new rules. This is a Christian radio show. I'm a Christian, solid Christian, very proud to say that. I mean, our founders were 52 of our 55 signers were all solid Christians. I have no problem saying that. And I'm on a Christian radio station. And she says the FCC has new rules out now. They're not reinstating the fairness doctrine. They're reinstating the Fair Practice Act or something like that. So I think it's called equal time. So if I have a conservative on talking about a political issue, this does not apply to Christianity and that kind of stuff. It's talking about political issues. If I have a conservative politician on talking about political issues, I am not mandated anymore to contact someone from the opposing side and say, hey, I gave so-and-so 15 minutes, which is what the fairness doctrine did prior to 1987. But now, let's say we've got this gal who's the Satanist who's been giving presentations at the State House. If she were to hear one of my shows and go, oh, I want to counter that, she can go down to the radio station. We are now be required to fill out all sorts of paperwork to say who the guest was, what the topic was, how many minutes were devoted to it. It's very cumbersome. And then if she demands it, I would be obligated to give her that time. So this coming Saturday is my very last terrestrial radio show. I'm not going to play that game.
Wow.
And I will be moving to the internet with a new show and doing both national news and Idaho news. I'm going to have two different shows, but we got to get out there and reach people. And I think, as I just said earlier, the radio is going bye anyway. So let's use this online platform.
Wow, that is incredible. That's incredible news. I mean, that's even worse than the fairness doctrine. It sounds like you have to take time out of your show and be forced to talk to somebody if that person arrives at your show to demand equal time.
That's what I'm told.
That is incredible. Wow. Okay. Well, wow. Okay.
So the fairness doctrine, I would have been mandated to contact somebody from the opposite side and say, look, we gave so-and-so 10 minutes. If you want, you can come in and take 10 minutes.
Sure.
That requirement's not there. But if they come in and they demand it, then we would have to give it.
Right. Wow. And just out of curiosity, is this the type of news that one could find in the local press that this new rule exists at the FCC?
I don't know. Maybe I'm on the leading edge of this curve. I was just contacted by the person who owns the radio station and said, you need to come look at this. There's going to be a whole bunch of new rules.
Yeah.
As you do your show.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's gonna affect a lot of folks. From a lot of folks, a lot of the folks that out in the Magic Valley. Is it Bill? I forget the host's name out there in the Magic Valley, but he might get the same. He's going to be getting the same treatment, I imagine. So, all right. Well, then that leads into True Idaho News. What can you tell us about focusing on True Idaho News again?
So, True Idaho News is a web platform, and I post various things. I post national news there. I post Idaho news there. And I started it a couple years ago, and I actually kind of set it aside for a while, and sometimes wouldn't even post there for a month or two on end because I was focusing on my national TV show and my national news and doing 60-second commentaries on national issues. And I did that for about a year and a half until a couple months ago, I saw that the governor's PAC was funding these mailers to slam conservative legislators. And I said, okay, this is just unreal. I'm going to need to focus more attention back in Idaho to let people know what's really going on. Because those who are watching TV and listening to the radio, we got some good conservative talk show hosts out there. But as far as TV goes, they're not going to hear that from them. People need to know what's really going on in the state.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, when I moved to Idaho, newsflash, I'm not an Idahoan, but when I moved to Idaho, your site, the True Idaho News, and there was a few others, were the ones that I immediately gravitated towards because I wanted to learn more about the new home that I lived in. And I had followed you previously in my past life through Keep the Republic and you being on Twitter. I credit a lot of your enthusiasm of living in Idaho for putting it on my family's radar, and that was back when you had your previous Twitter account. Do you know why you were banned from Twitter? How many years ago now was that?
I did a 3-year stint in Twitter jail.
Yeah, walk us back. How did this happen? Do you even know? A lot of people don't even know why they're banned.
So. At the time, I was writing weekly for Uncover DC and Red State, and I was publishing a lot of stuff. And I would sometimes on my Twitter page, I would put up humorous images. And one of those images, one of their bots, I did not find this out until just a month ago because I'd been appealing, and they kept saying, nope, we're not reinstating you. And I want to give a shout out to Ian McDonald with Media Right News because he kept tagging Elon Musk and me saying, Elon, reinstate Dr. Bobinski.
Oh, that's great.
He was just like the widow tugging on the judge's sleeve in the New Testament. It's like, okay, finally something happened. Ian called me a couple weeks back and said, hey, go check your Twitter account. I was back live. Turns out I finally, about a month and a half ago, got a response from Twitter as to why they weren't reinstating me. And it says, we've checked, and it says that you advocated self-harm. Now, I'm sorry. That's a snowball's chance in hell. So I said, I wrote back, I said, prove it. I said, some bot made this decision based on one of my memes or something. Go ahead and go back and look at my posts and show me the post that I advocated self-harm, because I did not. And I don't know if it was that or Ian McDonald's work or both. I don't know what, but next thing I know, I'm back on.
Oh, wow. So they never provided you any receipts or tweets that showed self-harm?
No.
Wow.
All of a sudden, I'm just back up. They didn't even notify me. I was just, right. Ian was the one that contacted me and said, hey, your account's back up.
And fascinating. But did you have to rebuild your followers? Because you had a pretty substantial following.
I did. Well, so before I got kicked out, this was back in 2020. I called it the Great Twitter Purge. And if you recall, they kicked out Trump and they started kicking out all sorts of conservatives. And if you look at the Twitter files and you listen to the Mike Benz interview with Tucker Carlson, that was amazing. People need to watch that. I tell people, I recommend a lot of videos. If you watch nothing else in your life, watch that hour-long video.
I agree.
You don't even have to watch it. Just listen to it. It's amazing. But I called it the Great Twitter Purge. I went from 7,500 followers down to about 4,500 followers in about a month's time. They were just purging people left and right.
Right.
So I think I'm back up now to 4,600 or whatever, but it's just starting to build back up slowly.
Yeah.
But I guess the more that I do on Twitter, the more that'll happen.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, all right. Well, before I let you go, what we want to make sure we do here on the Signal is make sure we give people calls to action, what to focus on, where to direct their energy, so that we're not just caught up in a lot of the noise that's happening around us. So, so when it comes to what you see are going on at the legislature, what's your top priority now? What do you think is the biggest thing that folks need to look on if you have that on the top of mind?
Well, I think the ranked choice voting is probably the biggest issue in this state. Because of my connect, I have people calling me saying there's somebody standing at my door wanting me to sign this petition for ranked choice voting. Mm-hmm. And they're saying this, and this, and none of it's true. And so I think we need to start having that conversation in this state. And I'm talking about over the dinner table with your friends. This is going to be key, because if we get ranked choice voting in the state, we could kiss conservatives getting elected goodbye, because the way that system works, it'll be rigged. You look at Alaska, and what is the eastern state? Is it Connecticut? They're trying to undo it.
Right.
They've realized what a mistake it was. And so we really need to stop it and get people educated on that. Stop the ranked choice voting. Have conversations about it. Learn about it. Be able to explain it. I'll be doing some 60-second presentations on it that I'm going to encourage people to share on their social media. A lot of folks are keyboard warriors. Fine. Let's share the bullets that are going to inform.
Fantastic. Well, send those to us too, and we'll play them on the program as they come out. We'll keep tabs on them. All right, Dr. Bobinski, give us the places where we can follow you and keep in touch with you. I know we've talked about it already, but let's have a nice little wrap up of where else we can follow you.
Sure. Well, you mentioned keeptherepublic.us. That's kind of the hub, but people can also subscribe to my Substack, which is simply danielbobinski.substack.com. All my little videos get put up there automatically, as well as some of my columns. If that's all they're interested in is my columns and my little videos, they can tune in there. So keeptherepublic.us and danielbobinski.substack. Oh, and then I have the what is that called? The podcast platform, which is currently called keeptherepublic.buzzsprout.com.
Fantastic. All right, folks. Well, make sure you go follow Dr. Bobinski there if you haven't already. I'm sure a lot of our viewers are already familiar with that, but it's a good reminder to have you on. Thank you so much for coming on. Yes.
You mentioned Twitter. I forgot Twitter. It's KTR Now.
KTR Now on Twitter. Yes, we have it scrolling at the bottom here, so if people are following that along. Fantastic. Thanks. All right. Thank you again. We'll have you back.
Thank you.
All right, folks. Stick around. We got about 15 minutes left in the show. We'll be right back.
It's our job to maintain the proper role of government and what we were tasked to do.